According to Jake L. Fischer, the Golden State Warriors could pivot to either Zach LaVine or Brandon Ingram if they do strike out on Paul George. We're going to talk about it all and more, what this could mean for the Chicago Bulls and the rumored bad trade market for Zach LaVine. We're getting to all that on this episode right after this.
Tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bulls news and content.
I see red, I see red, I see red, I see red, yeah, I see red, I see red, I see red, I see red.
What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host, Sir Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform. With that being said, let's go ahead and get it to. So this one comes from Jake L. Fischer, and Jake L. Fischer says this: the options range across the spectrum of upside, from sending out picks for Brandon Ingram to potentially acquiring one with Zach LaVine, sources said. But if no deal emerges and the Warriors indeed lose Klay Thompson, as Golden State and league personnel currently believe will occur, the Warriors are considering the best option. They could shift their focus to Zach LaVine or Brandon Ingram. We even have a reported deal that could be offered by Golden State Warriors in this, and that is that the Golden State Warriors sending Chris Paul, Andrew Wiggins, Kevon Looney, Trace Jackson, and to the Chicago Bulls, and the Bulls in exchange sending out Zach LaVine, Nikola Vucevic, and Torrey Craig. Now, that's not from Jake L. Fischer. That's a different reported deal. You guys know how it snowballs. Somebody reports something, and then everybody else kind of follows behind it. But at least for the initial one, Jake L. Fischer reporting that the Golden State Warriors could pivot towards Zach LaVine. This is after earlier today, Bobby Marks saying that the Bulls are having some trouble, even if they attach assets, or having trouble finding a partner for Zach LaVine. So this kind of goes against that reporting. But this is, we've always said, or I've always said on the show, that I believe that at the best, Zach LaVine is going to become a consolation prize for other teams. So I think, and I'll get to that deal. I see somebody in it. So it's always Zach LaVine is going to be a consolation prize, meaning that a team that strikes out on their first or second option, I think that they could pivot towards Zach LaVine. That does not mean that the Chicago Bulls are going to get a whole lot of assets back for it, but I do think that that is something that teams around the league could be looking for. The Golden State Warriors do seem to be a team as well that is looking to maintain a lot of their young talent, but still put a team together that can compete in the 3 years left on Steph Curry's deal. And theoretically as well, with all this said, is that Zach LaVine is somebody who can step into a similar type role as Klay Thompson, meaning he can come off screens. He's not nearly the defender that Klay Thompson ever was, but he can come off screens. He can hit three-point shots. He can even isolate some, and he could look to create some of that replicate some of that Klay Thompson things. I'm not saying he's as good of a player as Klay Thompson was, right? Klay Thompson's different now, but it really comes down to how the Bulls value this type of deal and what the Golden State Warriors could offer. I will go on to say this: if the Warriors offer something built around Wiggins with Trace Jackson, even though Trace Jackson's only 6'9", we know we got a lot of power forwards, and even Kevon Looney, like that could get the Bulls enticed in that deal. And if you can package Zach LaVine and Nikola Vucevic in that type of deal, I like this trade overall. When you look at it, like I said, the trade that's been presented, Zach LaVine, Nikola Vucevic, Torrey Craig. That's the Warriors getting a younger piece in Zach LaVine. They're getting a veteran in Nikola Vucevic, who only has 2 years left on his contract, with coincide when Steph's contract comes off the books as well. And you getting a veteran in Torrey Craig, replacing some of the depth that you're giving up and sending out like an Andrew Wiggins. The Chris Paul part of this really would make this all work. How the Bulls view that expiring contract from Chris Paul. Could they buy it out? Could he provide some mentorship to Josh Giddey, Kobe White, things like that? So it's an interesting deal that's presented here. I'm not saying that this is something that's going to happen. I'm not saying anything like that, but I do say that this is something that I don't hate. This is actually one of the better proposals for Zach LaVine that we've really seen in quite a while, and it would get the Bulls positions of need while also getting long-term money off the books for the Chicago Bulls as well, which is something that we've heard that the Bulls front office is valuing in this offseason as well. So listen, I don't hate it, and that's what it comes down to. I do not hate it at all. Melvin, no, we're not getting Kuminga. They're still trying to compete. No, the answer is no. The answer is no. Thompson for LaVine makes this. No, it's not Thompson. It is not Thompson for LaVine. Keep this in mind. It is not Klay Thompson for Zach LaVine. That is not the package here. So no, that's not it. Hey everyone, happy shout out to Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. Chris Paul in the Bulls jersey, that's what's up. I doubt that Chris Paul would stay around here. I think he would probably be bought out at that point. Sydney says, do you think Zach LaVine would actually get traded before the new season? I think there's a chance of it. Like I said, I do think that a team that's really looking to make a move that strikes out on other targets could pivot towards Zach LaVine. I really do think that. I'm not saying that it's going to be the Warriors, but I do think that that is a possibility for sure. Saw the notification and let out an oh, thank God. That's funny, Tim Brazil. We can keep LaVine for all that. Nobody wants to see it, but see, that's not you're missing the point. The point of trading Zach LaVine isn't so you're getting these pieces that you herald, it's that you're moving off of money long term. That is what the Bulls are looking for here. They're not looking to all of a sudden build some team that's going to compete. Andrew Wiggins does have a deal into a player option to 2026-27, but even at the most of Andrew Wiggins' contract, he's making $15 million less than Zach LaVine. Then you look at Chris Paul, a non-guaranteed deal. I think they got to guarantee it to trade him though, but you could buy him out. So that's what you're looking at there. You're getting so it's not that you're getting somebody that you're head over heels about the pieces. It's you're coming off that money. That's what you're looking at there. I am Skokes in the building, says, dude, teams could look for Terry or Phillips attaching the deal instead of a young player. But I don't think the Bulls are going to want to give that up. I don't think that. I could be wrong. I just don't think that that's going to be the case. Damn, nobody wants the ball-headed hoe in Leroy Carter. Nobody wants him. Nobody. His mama don't want him right now. So LaVine to Golden State without attaching any assets would be great. Then if you give me Moody, you're probably not getting both. But Kevon Looney, maybe. Kevon Looney, maybe. Bathor Payne says I would do that deal in a heartbeat. Like I said, it's one of the better deals that I've seen. I honestly find it hard to believe that we get rid of Zach unless Philly strikes out on the point guard. I get where you're going at with that. I don't hold out as much doubt as you, but I definitely understand where the doubt is rooted in for sure. Definitely understand that. The only injury Wiggins had recently is mentally. I mean, no, he plays like an injured player. So I mean, there's that part of it as well. Like he plays like somebody that's injured. So but no, I mean, when you look at it, 37 games the season before last, 71, 73, 71. The last time he played a minuscule amount of games, other than that, that's really it. So I mean, yeah, you're not wrong. He hasn't had very many physical injuries at all. Sup, Haize? Question for you, because Rick Bucher mentioned it well the other day. If true, what other young players would you want personally on the Bulls? What kind of question is that, Vern? What other young players would I want on the Bulls? Like from around the NBA? Fucking no, bro. Like I'm worried about developing who we got. Like very rarely do you go out and get a young player that like I know people have said like Wiseman. I don't think Wiseman all of a sudden develops coming here to Chicago personally, but what's your take on our center next year? I mean, the center more than likely is going to be Nikola Vucevic. He's more than likely going to still be the starting center next year for the Chicago Bulls. Shady Guy says, I just want this over, but if I'm being honest, I don't think he's going to get traded right now. That's just my opinion. I mean, and you are valid in having that opinion. There's more than enough reasons on why thinking that is extremely reasonable and probably the most likely outcome. There's more than enough reason to think that. Javon is a nice player with great defense. He had a bad year, but believe he has to the work ethic to bounce back next year. And I've said that before, Whiskey, is that Javon Carter, that we've seen players before sign with the team, have a bad first year, and then bounce back in year two. We've seen it. It wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility. It wouldn't be rare. We've seen that happen before. The question is it going to happen here? And does he even still have a role to really earn, right? So we'll see. Trade Drummond for both. So you want to trade 2 unrestricted free agents? Where do they do that at, bro? Where is that in the rule book? Rob Anto says, just get rid of Vooch and go younger at center. It's not just simple. It's not just like we speak about these things as if you can just walk into the shelf in your Kroger or Walmart and be like, yeah, let me get one of them young centers right there. Preferably, hey, can you while you're in there, can we get a couple of them rim protecting power forwards? Go ahead and throw that in that cart for me too. While we're at it as well, add a couple of 3-point shooters in there. Not too good at 3-point shooters. If they're a little over ripened, it's cool. But throw a couple of them 3-point shooters in there. All right, check me out. How much that's gonna run me? That's not how it works. It's not that simple. It's just not that simple. So And I doubt teams think that the Bulls are trying to win. So even if the Bulls lose with Zach, his offensive scoring teams will want for a playoff push. I disagree with that. I disagree with that. Teams, when you already have doubt, they will use any reason to reaffirm that doubt. If the Bulls are losing, considering that even if they lose DeMar DeRozan, right, and you know bench players have changed. If the Bulls lose and they just look worse as a team than what they did without Zach, that's going to hurt his trade value, even if he is scoring. If Zach LaVine is scoring a lot, but the Bulls are losing games, teams will absolutely use that to validate, oh, we told y'all he doesn't contribute to winning. Those are empty calorie stats. There's always more possibility that Zach's going to hurt his trade value than help it. I want us to try to get Jalen Smith and even Isaiah Joe if we can't get Harden. Well, you can't get Hardenstein. We don't have nearly enough cap space. We only have the full mid-level. Hardenstein's going to get offered more than the full mid-level. And we don't even have the full mid-level right now. That's just expected if we move on from DeMar. As far as Jalen Smith, now he is somebody that you could potentially get with the mid-level. We'll see what happens there. Isaiah Joe, I don't hate Isaiah Joe as a prospect. I just don't necessarily love it either. Are the Bulls eyeing KCP? I'm so confused because we don't have the cap. Well, keep in mind, we're always over the cap. If the Bulls don't re-sign DeMar DeRozan, we can use our full mid-level exception. The moment that DeMar DeRozan signs with another team and his cap hold comes off the books, that frees up enough space to use the mid-level exception. So if he's willing to accept that, we could sign him there. We'll see. Send Zach and Vooch to the Warriors. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. My bad, bro. Just wanted to hear you say it. My bad. I know you're good, bro. I'm just being like, you know, you've been in live streams, bro. I'm just being silly, man. Hey, King, cool idea. I hope we move on from Zach before the season. We'll see. We'll see. So do you think LaVine will be in a Bulls uniform next season? At this point, you ask me right now on June 30th, 2024 at 1:46 p.m. Chicago time, I would say yes. But that can change in 10 minutes. Hell, that can change in 2 hours when free agency opens. So right now, I would say yes, but I'm not going to say that that's the case. Could we move Vooch to power forward? Like, have you seen Nikola Vucevic play and you think that that's a good idea to move that to power forward? No, you can't move Vooch to power forward. No, that's literally murder. That's terrible basketball. Sacktown, not how it works. Oh, wait, I missed what I missed. Okay. Bulls without the Martin Drummond looking 22 million to spend. No, that's not. Yeah, we don't have 22 million to spend. If the Bulls, hold on, I can tell you the exact numbers. Give me 1 second. I can give you the exact numbers. It's not $22 million to spend. Okay. So let me make sure this is updated. Yes, it's updated to P Will. So right now, this is high level salary cap talk. Judge your mom, your one titty auntie, don't judge me. So the Chicago Bulls, if they do not sign DeMar DeRozan, Drummond's already gone. He's off that. He's because he's unrestricted. But if they do not sign DeMar DeRozan, they have $30 million beneath the first tax apron, right? So that's basically $30 million beneath the luxury tax. But that's not cap space. So you can't just go out and sign $30 million worth of players because the Bulls are still over the cap of $63 million. So what the Bulls can do is use their full mid-level exception and their biannual exception, which I think we still do have. The mid-level exception is $12.9 million. The biannual, if I'm not mistaken, is $8 million, I think. So the Bulls could theoretically use both of those, but they don't have just $30 million to spend on one player. That's not how it works. So there you go with that one. And like you said, they still only have 12 roster spots, so they still got to fledge that out a lot. So you got to see there. Would you be shocked if they re-sign Drummond? Yeah, because it's not going to happen. Drum is somebody who's played on the vet minimum his last 4 years. I mean, if the Bulls were to move off of Zach and DeMar, maybe, but we'll see. If DeMar does leave, who you think takes the starting 3 spot? I think Mattis, but that's just me. I think so too. I think you're either looking at Mattis Bucilis or you're looking at starting Pat at the 3, Torrey Craig at the 4, or vice versa. If the Bulls just want to bring Mattis Bucilis off the bench, some people have said that Ayo Dosunmu could start at the 3. I don't want to see that happen personally, but I guess there's reason to believe that maybe Billy Donovan would do something like that. Maybe. If Zach stays this season, is he still going to start or come off the bench, or is he the starting at 3? I think you got to start him. Probably at the 3. That's a weird lineup. That's a weird lineup. That's very weird. Very, very strange lineup. Do you think Zoe is moved? I don't know. I think if more than likely than not, maybe bought out. The only way that I could have previously seen Zoe moved if he was like attached to Alex Caruso contract, and I don't see that happening. Cedric, yes, I have a whole video on that. Yes, I actually do think that 18 million per is a really good price for him. Mattis P. Will 3 and 4 or 4 and 3. It's perfect to me. Each one get back to the other. Yeah, I mean, it's a nice complementary skill set that you think there, right? So we'll see. Io is very valuable as the first man off the bench. Extremely, Quentin. You are exactly right on that. Extremely valuable as the first man off the bench. But all right, y'all. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm about to go watch the Chicago Sky play. You guys already know if news breaks, we break an episode, or we'll be live. Free agency, we'll probably be live for the opening of free agency as well. So make sure you guys stay tuned in for that. But you can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform. Hit that subscribe button. In exchange for that, I'll be delivering you the best daily Chicago Bulls content you'll find all on YouTube or on podcast side. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. By the way, as well, if you're a YouTube watcher, go over to Apple Podcasts, go over to Spotify. I know you got one of them on your phone. Leave a 5-star review because you can't leave reviews on YouTube. If you're a podcast listener, go and hit the subscribe button on YouTube, even if you're going to keep listening to the podcast. Trying to get to 20,000 subscribers by the end of the season. But that's my time for today, guys. Love you guys. Go Bulls. See red. I'll be back at free agency opening.